Hello, this is John, also known as Gamester81, and this is a review over Space Invaders Infinity Gene by Taito, Square Enix, and it was released on both Xbox Live and PlayStation Network in September 2010. I'm playing this on Xbox 360. Space Invaders Infinity Gene was first available as an app on the iPhone, and that came out in July of 2009. Overall, this game has received fairly good reviews. It is a sequel, or one of the many sequels I should say, for the Space Invaders franchise by Taito. I guess there is downloadable packs you can actually purchase for Infinity Gene. There's a start game leaderboard, achievements, although achievements for some reason are really hard to unlock. I haven't unlocked any. I'm not quite sure, maybe I'm doing something wrong, but it's super hard to unlock achievements in this game. You got normal, you got challenge, music, you can play your own background music while playing Infinity Gene, although I don't know why you'd necessarily want to. The music in this game is fantastic. You can select your certain weapon. Rapid is your standard weapon. You got a wave, which every weapon has its pros and cons. The wave can obviously spread out really far, but it's a very slow weapon. You start off with the game with a standard Space Invaders scene here, and all of a sudden it evolves. Let's dig into the gameplay here. I've got the wave on stage 1. This game is very fast paced and the music definitely sets the mood to that. The graphics are retro meets modern. They've definitely used some aspects of the old school Space Invaders game, yet they've made the gameplay fun and unique. Those are DNA strands you can collect throughout the game, which will upgrade your weapon. That was a pretty easy first stage to kind of get used to it. A really cool feature about this game is the chain. Those are how many enemies you attack in a row. And if the higher your chain is, the more points you can stack up. If you don't hit an enemy for a second or so, the chain goes back to 0. If you die, your chain goes back to 0 as well. Top left corner of the screen is my ranking against other players who have played this game on Xbox Live. Here's another weapon I'm using. This is called the Search. It will automatically target enemies on the screen. One thing that this game is missing are other additional weapons like bombs. One of my favorite Space Invaders games is called Space Invaders Extreme for the DS. That game uses an awesome job of having additional bombs and weapon upgrades, where this game is lacking that. This is the third weapon you can choose from when you start the game. It's called Rapid. It's my least favorite weapon because the reach isn't quite as far as the other two, and it's definitely the most challenging to use. As you play this game, you can unlock additional weapons. This is called Lock On. This is the weapon I've unlocked while I'm playing this game. This one actually locks on to certain targets in front of you. The challenging thing about this weapon is, in order to use it, you have to have an enemy in front of you. It will not use or fire if there's nothing in front of you to fire at. It's really fantastic to see that Taito is continuing the Space Invaders franchise. Space Invaders is their most popular game that they've ever made. In fact, it's one of the most popular arcade games of all time when it was released in 1978. When it was released in Japan, in the arcades, they actually had a yen shortage because so many people were playing the arcade. And by 1982, they had over $2 billion, that's in US dollars, of quarters used for Space Invaders, so it was a huge success. And as its title suggests in this game, the games are always evolving, and every Space Invaders game that Taito releases, it's unique and refreshing. At the end of each stage, there is a boss battle, and each boss is tricky. And sometimes you don't necessarily have to destroy the boss. Sometimes it's just a timed thing. So if you don't necessarily kill him right away and you survive long enough, the stage automatically ends, which is kind of helps. But it's interesting that they've actually decided to use that as well. There are parts of this game I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you it was super frustrating. It's a lot of trial and error and figuring out where to go. It is unlimited continues, which makes it nice. But making it so challenging, it does make the game's replay value a little bit higher, because I definitely want to continue and see how I can finish the stage. I would have liked Taito to add a multiplayer feature where you can play co-op, have players online, 2 players at one time playing. I think that would have been a really cool feature. Unfortunately, that's not in this game. One thing I do like though about this game is that Taito's used full screen, and that there's a lot of action going on. while you're playing this game. This is the 5th weapon you can actually unlock later in the game. It's called Gravity. When you fire a weapon, everything surrounding that particular web blast is going to implode and gravitate to your weapon. So it's pretty cool. It is kind of a slow weapon, but it does do significant damage in a small radius of your weapon. Overall, I give Space Invaders Infinity Gene an 8 out of 10. I like the graphics. It's retro meets modern. There's a lot of action going on the screen. The replay value of this game is high because it is very challenging. One of my favorite aspects of the game is by far the music. The fast-paced techno beat definitely puts me in the mood, and definitely there's a great feel for Space Invaders Infinity Gene. Having said all that, I really wish you could unlock additional weapons you can use other than the ones you can unlock. I wish they had bombs. I wish they had lasers. I also wish it was multiplayer co-op. I think that would be a really cool feature. I think this is something that could improve for the Taito, can improve for the next game. Overall, definitely check out this game. It's available on Xbox Live, PSN, and if you have an iPhone or iPad, definitely check this app out. It's definitely worth getting. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.